Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Game of Life mentoring podcast and community conversation with a power couple. The Johnson family has entered the building. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, Rashard and Denidra. It's so good seeing you guys again.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning.
And
Nice
sorry
to
to
see
keep
you,
you all
Dale.
waiting this morning. Let me just go ahead and give the proper introduction. I'm going to start with Mrs. Johnson, if you don't mind, Mr. Johnson, because this is Women's History Month. And so ladies first. And I know you're a perfect gentleman, brother. So,
Always. I was raised by a woman, so always. My queen is always first.
amen. So Denidra Johnson is the Chief Operating Officer at edreports.org. She leads the organization's financial and operational strategic planning and oversees HR, finance, and the operational functions. Denidra designed and executed a plan to transition the organization from fiscal sponsorship to operating as an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization. She ensures timely and accurate reporting to Ed Reports Board of Directors, funders, and key stakeholders. Denidra also oversees the Ed Reports efforts to build capacity and understanding of diversity, belonging, inclusion, and equity. Welcome, Mrs. Johnson. And
Thank
now for the man you've known a little while, Mr. Johnson, Mr. President. Rashard Johnson is the president of both Advocate. Let me say that again. Both Advocate Trinity Hospital in Chicago and Advocate South Suburban Hospital in Hazel Crest, Illinois, which are part of Advocate Aurora Health, the 10th largest not-for-profit integrated health system in the United States. Mr. Johnson oversees the strategic direction and operation of Advocate Trinity's 205-bed hospital, which has served the southeast side of Chicago for over 120 years. Johnson provides executive leadership over Advocate South Suburban's Hospital, 230 beds and support services, 700 physicians, 1,100 team members, and building facilities. Let me just say this, including oversight of the $98 million construction of a new surgical procedure center that will expand the hospital's footprint by 90,000 square feet. It is an honor for me as president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami to have Mr. and Mrs. Johnson here today. Thank you both.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now it's
It's always interesting when people read the bio because it sounds good on paper, and then she reminds me you didn't take the trash out and you got to pick up the kids and all the rest of the stuff. So it's all relative, my friend.
It is all relative, and I tell you what's beautiful about just having that queen in your life, brother, is it keeps respecting royalty, but also making sure we stay humble. And at the end of the day, and I know this will come through in our conversation today, to all of our listeners, to our bigs, our littles, our staff, and all stakeholders, both here and elsewhere. Thank you for joining us, and you're going to learn a lot about just what makes this family so special. I fell in love with you guys. I tell you what, Rashard, we met, and then you said, I got you. You thought I was all right, and you said this. You thought I was good, brother. Now let me let you meet what keeps me smiling. And I tell you what, brother, you upgraded.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
So speaking of upgrade, in honor of Women's History Month, Denidra, what woman inspired or mentored you, and what did she teach you?
Yes, this is a good question. So there have been many women who have inspired me over the years, but I know that today is 305 Day. And so I'm going to highlight a person who inspired me from Miami. And actually, this person is our coach, Angela Rowe, who was the cheerleading coach at Miami Norland Senior High when I am Rashad, attended Miami Norland. And this woman is amazing. She has coached, I want to say, over 10 years, both at Norland and at other schools in Miami-Dade County. And to this day, she is still looked at as a mentor and second mom to many of her former cheerleaders. And many of them have had kids, and still those kids were taught by Coach Rowe. Some of the things that I admire about her was just her belief that everyone that she worked with was able to succeed as long as we had the right mindset and the right work ethic. Those things stayed with me through my career and in my personal endeavors, in that I believe that anyone can do and achieve anything that they set their mind out to, as long as they have the right work ethic and the right determination to get those things done. And I just want to say thank you to Coach Rowe, because she left a lasting impact on me, and I know she continues to do that for so many others.
And Denisha, that's the power of mentoring. When you think about it, she planted a seed in so many young ladies that are now women, wives, business leaders. It all goes back to that mentoring and that coaching and that instilling that confidence in you. And so shout out to Coach Rowe. Is she still at Miami Norland?
No, she's not at Miami Norland, but she's still in Miami.
That's excellent. That is excellent. So shout out to Coach Rowe. We need to make sure she gets a copy of this, because one of the things about teaching and coaching, when your students come back and say, "Look at me now," and thank you, that's priceless to any coach and or teacher. So thank you for sharing that, Denidra. And speaking of 305 days, now, Rashard, you both grew up in the 305. Tell us about your childhood and how you grew up here in Miami.
Yeah, that's that's a passion of mine, actually, Gail. Because you're familiar with the struggles that inner city kids go through, and I'm a product of the inner city environment, Liberty City to be exact. Grew up off of 15th Ave and 69th Terrace, right down the street from the Pork and Bean projects, and that really helped shape me. And I think a lot of people in life will tell you, just because you're in an environment doesn't mean you have to be a product of it. But I look at it on the other side of that. I look at it, that environment helped shape me as a leader, helped shape me as a man, helped show me, it really helped prepare me for the South Side of Chicago, if you really think about it. And I didn't know it at the time, but God engineering is how I look at it. And so I grew up in the 80s there, in Liberty City, and really watched the drug flow come in the 80s, and seeing things that that my kids have no idea and shouldn't have any idea, but also was blessed enough to have a mother who's a teacher, and she always preached that education was the key to success. And so she would always show us people who had more and then people who had less, and so that we can be humble and grateful for what we have. And I can go on and on through the lessons there, learned from her and learned from my family members who, Gail, I told you this, I grew up a family of hustlers, honestly, but they kept me out of the streets, and they kept me focused on football and what I needed to do. And I use those skills every day. I kid you not. And then it's not lost on me what's outside of our corner office or outside of that boardroom. I know my reason and my purpose. And so I owe all that to Miami, to Liberty City. I love it.
And at what point did you meet this young lady, Rashard? Watch him start smiling right on cue.
Yeah,
boom, right there.
High school. 10th grade, lady, let me tell you, she has the best set of legs I've ever.
Hey, wait, this is a family program, brother. Hold on now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hold on now, brother.
All right, I won't go there. But hey, we're married.
Amen. It's all right.
Yeah. Already. Oh no, but that's awesome. Just high school, and one thing about Denidra, I can say is, honestly, she's never changed throughout. From then, both of us very humble beginnings, to now where we're immensely blessed. To be honest, more than what we need. God has been awesome, and she as a person hasn't changed, and I think I appreciate it more as we grow older, and we do this thing called life. It's not easy. It's not easy, but we always call ourselves Bunny and Clyde, and that's the truth, because everything that we do is it's a team effort, and it's done together. Even though she leads it. I just kind of shut up and do as I'm told.
Well, I tell you what, and Denidra, when you first saw this young man, was it the smile? What was it? What was it that got you, sis?
It was the smile, but it was also just knowing his commitment to growth academically and also we met in high school, so it wasn't professionally. It was more so doing what he was doing on the football field or doing what he was doing in the community to be able to grow as a person. And so I really was attracted by his drive.
Excellent. And speaking of education, school, and drive, let's address the elephant in the room. We're in the midst of a pandemic, Rashard and Denidra. And so, Denidra, one of the challenges in the midst of this pandemic is keeping our kids connected and making sure they don't slide educationally or decline educationally. And you're an education professional. What tips do you have for our bigs, our littles, and our families on just how to just stay focused and just be educationally successful?
This one is tough because you mentioned I'm an education professional, but I too struggle with this. I will say for our mentors, it's really important for you to reach out to the mentees and dig a little deeper to understand what they are doing, what they're going through, and how this pandemic is impacting their lives. Because this is a time where none of us could have predicted this. We're all acting in a situation where we're just making it up as we go because this is just this is not normal for us. So taking that extra time to understand all that is happening in a person's life will be helpful, because that is what's going to allow you to reach them where they are and provide whatever support is needed. On the mentee side, I think it's important for mentees to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to ask questions you may be uncomfortable asking, especially in these times. It's like, oh yeah, I could have shielded a little bit of myself from my mentor or earlier in life before the pandemic. But now it's like, I need you to know this because I need you to understand why I'm operating in the way that I am. I need you to understand why I am not completing all of my coursework the way I should be. And there could be a valid reason there. I think that is important for mentees to understand that as a mentor, we've all been in those similar situations where we had to navigate certain things. We want to be able to help you understand that it's okay. You'll get through this, and here are some things that we did to address it when we were facing those challenges. Or here are some things we did, and we don't want you to do. So here, learn from that. I mentioned earlier that I struggle with this as well because Rashad will tell you a few weeks ago, we got a note from my oldest son's teacher that he wasn't doing what he should have been doing in school. And so we had to like devise a plan quickly to get him back on track. And we're talking a straight A student who suddenly just was not making straight A's anymore. And so we had to, do different things to get him back to where he needed to be. But it took an understanding of like, how is this pandemic affecting him? How is it affecting us? And what can we do to support him in a different way? Because the old way wasn't working because we're not in old times anymore.
And I love that because it's about situational leadership. You all as leaders, professionals, but you're still parents. And I love what you said, Denidra, in terms of as we get through this, we learn from each other. The mentor learns from the mentee and vice versa. Parents have to adjust, but the most important thing is that team approach. And it affects all of us. No one is exempt from the feelings, the adjustments that need to be made. And like you said about your son, straight A student that you all needed to devise a game plan that fit him to make him successful. So excellent words of wisdom. And let's stay on the pandemic topic for a minute. Rashard, I'm gonna shoot two questions at you, brother. I'm gonna get to your journey in a minute in terms of becoming president. As a matter of fact, let's start there. You are, again, I know Mr. 305, I think Pitbull has that. But for this podcast today, my brother, you're Mr. 305 on this 305 day. And
right.
So as I look at you, brother, president of not one, but two hospitals. And that I want that to sink in with the kids who are watching and the kids who will see this. Congratulations on your leadership, your position, your ascent to where you are, brother. And as you think about your professional journey, I talked to Denidra about who mentored her. And she did shout out to Coach Rowe. Who mentored you, brother? And what did they teach you along your journey? Tell us about your leadership journey.
Yeah. Oh man, it's it's amazing. And it's a godsend because I had no idea that the person that I am or you are, or even Donidra is, the positions that we all collectively hold. I had no idea these positions existed growing up in Liberty City. There were three ways to make it out, and three. Well, first of all, no men in the household, a single parent household, and three ways to make it out. And the successful men that I saw were either um, rappers, drug dealers, or athletes. And so, I chose football. So that was my way of sort of going out. And God didn't have that in the deck for me. Ended up getting hurt at went to UCF, University of Central Florida, played there. Shameless plug. Shout out to the Knights, go Knights. And ended up getting hurt and didn't make it to the NFL. And really went through a bout of depression and just couldn't see the other side. Even though I had my education and I was going on for my master's because my mother preached that, I just, I wanted so desperately to achieve what I thought was success and who I thought I was. And it wasn't until I met, his name is Marvin O'Quinn. And I really owe my career to him. And I met him there at Jackson Health System in Miami. He was the president and CEO at the time. This was back in 2006. And when I saw him, I couldn't believe it. I actually, Donidra, remember this story. I ran home with a memo of his picture, his face on it. And I said, you wouldn't believe the president of Jackson Health System is a black man. He looks like me. And she couldn't believe it. She sort of sounded like Ricky Smiley. She was like, "You're lying to me," right? That's kind of, but it was true. And that inspired me and it motivated me. And I remember telling her, I was like, I got to meet him. He has to be my mentor. And so I was going to show up at his office one day, and she was like, "Well, you probably get arrested if you show up at his office. So you better get online and look to apply." But I stayed online for almost a year every day, looking for an opportunity that would fit me. And I had a chance to do a fellowship. It was a fellowship in operations. Really is a training program that they do for healthcare executives and in the medical field. And I did that fellowship up under him. And that was it, man. It was history. He's been my right hand ever since, and even still till now. I talk to him quite often, and he's has ascended to much higher levels in his career, and I aspire to do the same.
Well, you are absolutely on your way, and it goes back to, once again, mentorship. You saw somebody who looked like you and said, "Hey, I can do this too." And then his tutelage, his coaching, his mentorship, and here you are now president of two hospitals as well. But not only that, our young ladies in leadership, not just in Women's History Month, but when they see women ascend to levels of authority and position and power, again, there is no doubt. And I want to just say this to both of you. There was a young lady that came into this building, our headquarters. She saw a picture of me on the monitor, and she said, and they said, "That's our president and CEO." And she said, "No, it's not. He's not the president and CEO." And so I just want to let you all know that the message is so powerful, and what you both are doing, not only with your authority, but with your humility in reminding people that, hey, we're just like anybody else, but we put the hard work in, and you've ascended to some incredible heights as well. So that's a powerful story. So shout out to Marvin O'Quinn.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Gail, I couldn't believe it. He was a husband, a father of three, and just spoke with such class, and everyone had the highest respect for him. And I couldn't believe it. And then, I started Googling salaries, and I was like, man, I need to be this guy. But everything, the golf, everything that you see, really he shaped and helped craft it. And just along my professional journey, just asking questions like, when you move cities and change jobs, what do you do? How do you handle with your wife and kids, and what's the community? And just him sharing all the trials and tribulations and mistakes that he's made and along the way is, I love him, man. I tell him that all the time. It's important to give people the flowers while they can still smell them. So he's definitely my hero. and he's created generational change for us. I mean, Donidra can hold her own, and I like to believe that together, we are better with each other and what we're able to do for our kids, but not only our kids, the bigs and littles, as you mentioned, what we're doing for other families, generational change, not only in Miami, but in Chicago and Dallas and Houston, New York, everywhere that we've been. It's been a matter of letting God use us. And we believe that's our life purpose. So it's a blessing.
I love it. And here we are in the Game of Life Mentoring Podcast. And the catchphrase for this podcast is in the game of life, everybody makes the team, but how you play is up to you. And so, Rashard, obviously, what position did you play in football?
Cornerback.
Cornerback.
So, yeah, I was like prime time. I was one of them prime time. I had hair and the bandana and wore number 2. Thought I was Deion Sanders. They, my friends used to pick and say and call me Leon Sanders.
But I tell you what, in terms of in a game of life, I mean, on the field, you were reading defenses, watching the quarterback's eyes, getting that head around, turning your hips and, beating them to the spot. So I got, so you did all of that. But see, what I love about mentorship and you and Donidra, and you all correct me if I'm wrong on this, and you can correct me on my own podcast. It's okay. But the beauty of mentorship, Donidra, you watched Coach Rowe. You watched her mannerism, how she spoke, the intensity in her voice. Am I right about that?
That's right. That's right.
And what trait of hers, watch this, what trait, it could be the smallest thing of hers, do you use today? Anything?
Oh, I think it's more just the understanding of people. Like I really take to understanding each individual in their own way. I don't treat everyone the same. And that's something that she did for us. And I continue to do that professionally and personally.
Love it. Now, Rashard, back to you. Same thing. Now, I know, I got a feeling I know what you're going to say. But now you watch how this brother walked, talked, dressed, everything. What did you pick up from him that you utilize today?
The biggest thing was his humility and the way, he didn't look in the mirror and see a president and CEO. He saw a servant of the people, and how he poured into me and just everybody from the lowest of, on the totem pole to the highest. It didn't matter. He carried that same respect and just humility. That was the biggest thing. And I couldn't believe it, because for someone to hold so much power and prestige, to be so humble it was a guiding star, and is a guiding star for me. And that's hard. It's hard for me because I played cornerback. Cornerbacks, it's all about ego and, swagger. so Donidra keeps me humble though. She that's her. That's like her sole purpose in life, to cut me down and make sure I'm humble. So she does a great job of that.
So Donidra, keep Leon Sanders in check, please. All right,
Yes.
That's a bonus. But it's so wonderful. And sports can teach us a lot. Life can teach us a lot. And that's why I named this podcast "The Game of Life," because there's so many nuances. It's the details, as you both know, in business and in life. And I saw some very nice pictures on your social, Rashard. You with MJ, with Scottie Pippen and some others as well. And Donidra, that same big old smile. I'm there saying, why is this kid smiling so much? So excellent, excellent, excellent. Speaking of family, let me just drop this quickly. You all are now in our family of donors. And on behalf of the bigs, the littles, and our staff and our board, thank you for being a part of our donor family. And Donidra, as it relates to post-secondary education, why is that so important to your family?
Post-secondary education is really important to us because we believe that post-secondary education can be a catalyst for a lifetime of purpose and passion. Not only is it important for expanding your academic knowledge, it also provides a way for individuals to learn about themselves, sometimes for the very first time without the guidance of their parents. It also allows you to explore and prepare for different career options and engage in social and civic activities with a group of people from different walks of life. For me, when I think back to my very first experience at the University of Florida, I was shocked when I got on campus because it was like a whole new world. I grew up in Carroll City. All I saw were Black and brown people who looked just like me. And everyone did the same type of jobs that my mom did or my dad did. When I got to UF, it was like, oh my gosh, it was like a different world, the show, but really much a different world for me. And I just like the experience, the education, don't get me wrong, is great. I love education. I'll go to school again if they would pay me to go. But just the experience of being on campus, learning and just learning from your surrounding is just an experience that you can't get anywhere else from other than that post-secondary experience. So yes, we want to make that a reality for as many people as we can, especially those who are underserved and think that there are barriers for them to achieve that success. So that's our goal, to promote this across the country.
Well, I tell you what, right here in the 305, to all the Miami Norland Vikings out there, and we got two alum right here with us, and please recognize we want more littles from Miami Norland. And by virtue of being a little brother or little sister from Miami Norland Senior High, and I know you're watching, I know you're out there, we're gonna make sure we send this to the principal as well. Get involved, we will mentor you, and thanks to the Johnson family, we're gonna help some little brothers and little sisters make it to that next level. So that different world, and I love that shout out to the show because everybody watched it. I'll be in Zamunda tonight. I know you all will be as well. So
That's right.
I know
That's
you better be in. This is like a national holiday.
That's right.
Shout out to Ricky Rose. Rick Ross put that whole thing together at his home in Georgia, man. That's awesome. That's Miami at its finest. It's Black excellence. I love it.
It's a beautiful thing. So shout out to the Vikings. We're coming to talk to you post-secondary education. So thank you, Johnson family, for your support. As we close out the show, here on I could talk to you two every day. I mean, last time we talked, we were just talking we just have you all back when it's time for graduation, and we introduce some of the littles who are recipients of that Johnson Legacy Scholarship, if you will. So we will make sure that's just an invite back. Hopefully y'all will accept my invitation and take my call, if you will, because I'll find you, Leon Sanders. I will find you, brother. And so I won't forget that.
It's not hard to find me. We're kindred spirits, Gail, and you know the immense respect that I have for you. And growing up in Liberty City, it doesn't take you long to analyze people and know if the lines between the eye and the brow match the smile. We have to learn that as a survival skill, and I use that. And when I met you, I knew it already, and so anything that we can do, definitely. And if I ever slip, she always keeps me focused and up front. So you got us.
I appreciate that. And when I see you all and I think about the Johnson family, I think about legacy. When I think about my grandmother, my mother who raised me in inner city Toledo, Ohio, it's such and so every time I come to work and help a little boy or little girl, it's a tribute to my mother and my grandmother. So when we talk legacy, this is a question for both of you. What do you want the Johnson legacy to be?
The Queen has to go first. And I'm convinced that she's going to speak for both of us because we talk about this often. So she has the floor.
All right.
So I will say that our legacy will be that we did God's work and we left this world better than we found it. We also pleased our ancestors in that we were the people that they dreamed we would be. And we not only bettered ourselves, but we bettered a whole generation, multi-generations of people who will come after us. And that's why we do this work, and the sky's the limit from here.
A power couple. Now, Rashard, did you want to, because the Queen has spoken. I don't know if you got anything to say after that, brother.
Big facts. 100.
There it is.
One.
There it is. And on behalf of the board of directors, the bigs, the littles, and certainly an incredible staff here at Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, on this 305 day, a couple from the 305, a power couple from the 305, doing big things, but also, as you both understand and know, to whom much is given, much is required. And I appreciate and love you both for just your humility your sincerity, your generosity as well. I'm gonna hook you up with some people in Chicago. My brother Jeremy Foster, who runs Big Brothers Big Sisters in Chicago. Shout out to Jeremy. I'll send this to him. I want you to meet him. He's a good brother as well.
Would
And
love
so,
to. Love to. Please do that. Please do that.
You got it, brother. So thank you both for taking the time with me on this Friday. I will see you both in Zamunda tonight. And on behalf of everyone, again, thank you. Thanks for joining us today on the Game of Life Mentoring Podcast and Community Conversation, of where everybody makes the team, even Leon Sanders. But how you play is up to you. Have a great weekend, both. Take care, family.
Thank you, Gail.
All right.
Take
God
care.
bless.
Bye-bye.
God bless. What a conversation. Thank you all for joining us today. Remember, it's the little things that matter. Stay humble, but most importantly, don't ever forget to not only mentor, but give thanks to those who mentored you. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm Gail Nelson, signing off for one more Game of Life.